9, 10, 11.
Right, education's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
But you were only supposed to choose one paper. I mean, it's your living room we're decorating, not the Taj Mahal.
But you've got to have alternatives.
Oh, they're all alternatives, are they?
Aye. Well, all except one.
Your first choice, which is it?
How do I know?
But you just
Look,
said...
I've got to have another look, haven't I? I can't start making snap judgments. The paper on my wall's been there for 15 years, and that's a long time to look at one pattern, so I want to make sure that it's something I like that's going to replace it, in case I've got to look at that for 15 years.
Yes, Mr. Tatlock.
So I'll be seeing you after I've had another study.
Do you think it was a good idea, offering to decorate for him?
It were a very bad idea, Maggie, but I'm stuck with it now, aren't I?
Morning.
What can I do for you, Hilda?
Well, I was just wondering if I could borrow your steps.
No.
Oh. You'll be wanting to use them yourself, will you?
I didn't say that.
I see.
I'm glad you do. Saves me explaining.
I didn't tell him deliberately, you know. I didn't set my stall out to get Elsie sacked.
The effect was the same, though, wasn't it? Elsie lost her job at the warehouse after you talked to the manager.
Personnel officer, actually.
Oh, does it matter?
Look, I went there for a job for myself, one I'd been promised long before Mrs. Flippin' Howard was ever thought of. That about her being in court just slipped out.
Yes, Hilda.
You don't believe me, do you?
Put your foot on that, will you? Right, Langton, I'll be off.
You know, I don't think it takes him as long to get ready for an expedition up Annapurna as it does for you to get out on a job.
You know what the Boy Scouts say, Billy boy, don't you? Be prepared.
Yeah, but you're no Boy Scout, are you? In no sense of the word.
Listen, I learned my woodwork in the real army, under fire.
Thanks for saving me heritage, Daddy.
And I did. Oh, Langton, I'm no fag. Have you got any? Thanks. One for now. Two for later, eh? Ta-ra.
Look, mate, I can do without your rosy little chops, not to mention the sickly grin. If you want to gloat, go and do it in your own midden.
I'm here to help you, matey.
You could have fooled me.
No, you'd like to get Stanley under there, wouldn't you?
And I will. My time will come.
And it could come today.
Yes, I've tried putting white mice in his pocket.
No, I mean it.
Oh?
Yeah.
How? 19 Inkerman 19 Inkerman Street.
Oh, hello. Checking up on me, are you? Well, I was just about to do the washing up, honestly, and this is only my third fag.
I came back because I've left my feeler gauge in
In the kitchen with the rest of the washing. Found it?
Yes. Thank you.
Alan, give us a smile.
I don't feel much like smiling.
Oh, I thought we'd agreed to drop that.
We have, but we can't expect me to burst into song every few
Well,
minutes.
it'd be an improvement on a face like the back of a muck cart,
All
wouldn't
right,
it?
I can remedy that. I'll take my face
I
elsewhere.
thought you'd understand about that. Honestly, I did.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
You've got a one-track mind when it comes to money, haven't you? A regular old Shylock.
Yes, I have. Because if once upon a time I'd had a one-track mind about money, I wouldn't have wound up as a bankrupt.
Alan, I don't want that Miami Modes business raking up all over again. It was me that was branded publicly as the thief. Now, people are beginning to forget about it. Most people anyway, and I don't want their memories jogging, not for any reason.
But you were framed by Dr. Greenhouse. You were innocent.
Oh, proof of innocence doesn't mean anything to people around here. That I was summoned was enough. We've got no saying round here. There's no smoke without fire. It was invented round here and it's wrecked a lot of innocent lives.
Well, I happen to think that Mr. Pollard should have the facts.
Yeah, and then all he has to do is to check back with Miami Mode. Some little busybody in the office hears about it, and before you know where you are, tongues are wagging like a duck's bum. And I'm thief again, whether I'm innocent or guilty.
Not by anybody that matters,
Like
nobody
who,
that
for
counts,
instance?
like me.
Well, you're not going to natter about it in the Rovers, are you? Or
Look,
are you?
see, I'm sorry. I happen to think you're wrong. What's more, I think it's pride that stops you going back to Pollard. You're not afraid of gossip on the
That's not
street.
true,
Well, I
Alan.
think it is. And it's a high price to pay. A flaming high price.
And 50p. That makes you straight for the week, Hilda.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Walker. I hope I've earned it.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, of course. But the same could be said of many wage earners these days, so there's no need to feel persecuted.
Oh, I don't, Mrs. Walker. You see, Stan explained it all to me. According to him, the working classes have seen the light. Because, you see, before, your upper classes always put play before work and see where it got them. So now we're trying it.
I've news for you, Hilda.
What?
The upper classes, like spats, have been on the decline for decades, more's the pity.
Oh. Oh, yeah, well, of course, that's what my Stan would call reactionary talk.
Reactionary. What a marvellous word.
Where does she get her flipping airs and graces? No breeding, no education, worked in a factory. It's not fair.
Shopped any more neighbours today, Hilda?
Not yet.
Oh?
No, I'm waiting.
What for?
Till I can shop you, and I don't think I'll have to wait so long, neither. Your sort's very valuable. Oh,
Hilda.
No, look, there was no malice in what I did. I was just disappointed because they'd let me down, that's all.
Hilda.
Offered me a job in front of witnesses, and then when I made my application...
Hilda,
What?
I'm not interested.
Oh, well, I'm flipping sure I'm not, then.
I thought you'd have turned her inside out and shook hands with the liver.
Ah.
Oh, what's the use? Nothing short of a coffin lid going on will stop her tittling tattling and causing trouble, if that. I'll have a straight gin, I need it. You know, it's a pity you can't get something on her. I've told you I'm not interested and I mean it.
Like, 19 Inkerman Street.
Like what?
16, then. 19 Inkerman Street.
And then he goes and looks through the book again. And guess what? I said, guess what?
What time do you make it?
5 to 12. Look, I'm sorry if I'm boring you to tears. I mean, if you've got a date with Jane Fonda, just say so. And I'll toddle off to Mr. Tatlock, who'll be on his 3rd reading by now. Probably have 31 choices. I'm fast learning about old folk. There's some you just can't help.
Hush and listen.
To what? There's not been a bird heard round here for 100 years.
Them very distinctive footsteps. Stanley Ogden, as I live and breathe.
Where's he been? Lost up tributary of the Amazon without a fly whisk?
Hey,
It's all right, love. I don't know what I'm talking about either.
Just passing through, Stanley.
I've finished that engagement in Elliot Street.
Engagement, he says. You think you were a concert pianist?
Well, now let's see. 3 hours to put on a thresher. Is this a record, I ask myself?
So I'll proceed to Milton Terrace and get me to Nonkway, yeah?
You know, with your organising ability, Stanley, you should be sitting on Teddy's right hand.
Soon, sonny, soon. And if I'm late, I'll go straight home. Ta.
Hey, you've not booby-trapped his next job, have you?
Have I not?
You don't mean...
I do. 19 Inkerman Street.
Mr. Howard to see you, Mr. Pollard.
Who?
Mr. Howard.
Howard? Did he say what he wanted?
No, he didn't.
Howard. Oh, right, show him in.
Would you come in, please, Mr. Howard?
Mr. Howard?
Mr. Pollard.
Sit down.
Thank you.
I'm sorry if I appeared rude on the phone, but I really can only spare you 5 minutes. D-Day approaching and all that.
Yes, I'm sure you're very busy.
Yes, I could do with cutting myself into a dozen different parts.
Yes, I bet.
Well, if we go on like this, the 5 minutes will be up before we've even broached the subject, which I take to be your wife.
Yes, it is.
Funny I was wrong about her. I thought I was a fairly good judge of character.
What do you mean? You were wrong about her.
I'd have wagered that she'd stand on her own feet rather than worry somebody else with her troubles and disappointments.
And you weren't wrong about her, Mr.
Ah,
Pollard.
so she doesn't know you're here.
No, she doesn't.
And why are you here, Mr. Howard?
I want you to have the facts, Mr. Pollard.
I've got all the facts I need.
Now, look, Mr. Pollard, you have sacked my wife because you believe she's a thief, haven't you?
Oh, come, Mr. Howard. You don't expect me to admit that, even though there are only the two of us.
Well, perhaps not, but my wife is not a thief.
You're Mr. Howard, Mr. Howard.
Well, I'll say it again. She's not a thief.
Look, I've got a lot of work to do, more almost than is good for me. As far as I'm concerned, the business with your wife is finished.
Maybe so, but you are going to have the facts.
I said not, Mr. Howard.
Well, I said yes, Mr. Pollard.
I make it that you have 2 minutes left.
That's time enough.
Well, go on.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm selling battleships, you see.
Want?
Stanley, Bayek, I thought I was in Inkerman Street. My sense of direction must be going to pot.
What do you want?
I want you, mate.
Why?
I want you back in the yard in 10 minutes.
Oh, you can do, don't you?
Oh, I do know what I can do, Stanley. I can wend my way back to Coronation Street, a rat-tat on number 13, and have a nice little heart-to-heart with the lady of the house.
There's nothing to tell her. I'm just visiting a friend, you know.
Stan, your dinner's out.
A friend, Stan?
I'm doing her a favour, you know.
Come on, Stan, don't let it get cold. I poured your brown ale out as well.
What sort of favour, Stan?
Come on, sweetheart.
She's a right little Sarah Echo, isn't she?
Look, give us half an hour, eh?
10 minutes, Stan.
Everything's ready, love.
So you see, Mr. Pollard, not only is my wife innocent, but she went to considerable risk to try and shield a friend of hers that she knew was guilty. Oh, you don't seem very impressed.
Oh, I am.
Perhaps you're not convinced.
I'm convinced as well.
Well, if you're convinced of her innocence and you have no doubts about her abilities, what about it?
Not about what?
Oh, come on, Mr. Pollard. What about giving her a job back?
Sorry.
Now, look, you admit you've made a mistake. Why don't you try and put it right?
I don't admit I made a mistake.
Well, you admit the fact of her innocence?
What's that got to do with it?
Well, I think it has everything to do with it.
I'm in the same position as Miami Modes, aren't I?
I don't follow that.
They made it clear to your wife that despite her acquittal, she was still in an invidious position. Any further cases of dishonesty, suspicion automatically points to her. Whether justly or unjustly is entirely beside the point.
Yes, well, my wife and I weren't married then. I didn't know her. Miami Modes wouldn't have pulled the stroke like that if I'd been around.
No, now you're being stupid, Mr. Howard. As an ex-businessman yourself.
Now, look, Mr. Pollard, you can't drag somebody out for the rest of their lives on a single fault because they've been pulled through the courts by mistake. Is that British justice? Innocent until you're proven guilty? This could happen to you 40 or 50 times and not stain your character at all.
It's the ideal way of looking at it, yes.
It's the only way of looking at it.
I'll put this as plainly as I can. This is a very fallible business, security-wise. Of course, we allow for a certain amount of wastage, but there is a limit, and if it goes beyond that limit, I have to account for it. I can hardly start by telling my directors that I'm employing as a supervisor a woman who has already lost one post in suspicious circumstances.
Unjustly.
They'd not only think me incompetent, but potty.
Why tell them anything at all?
Self-protection.
Well, I'm trying to protect my wife, Mr. Pollard, and her reputation. Now, you admit to the fact that she's innocent. That should be enough. You shouldn't entertain a single doubt about her now. And if you don't see that, Mr. Pollard, you shouldn't be in that chair. Because you're either a fool or you're an incompetent.
You have the gall to come into my office, criticize me and question my motives. You, Mr. Howard.
Yes, me.
But you're a bankrupt. The last person to preach to anybody.
Oh, I see. I'm getting the treatment now, am I?
I won't have anyone coming into my office telling me how to do my job. I dismissed your wife for perfectly sound business reasons. However, if it's of any interest to you, I shan't be here when the warehouse opens. I'm only responsible for the setting up operation. But the personnel manager will be given full facts, and I know he will share my views. As far as I'm concerned, that is the end of the matter.
I bet you can't wait for the day that life stories are fed to you by computer.
It'll teach people to keep their noses clean. Show Mr. Howard out.
You know, Mr. Pollard, I'm not altogether sorry about my bankruptcy. Because the morning I woke up with nothing, I started to live again as a human being. You could use that lesson. Thank you.
Fill the van up with petrol, collect that fresh load of timber from Appleyards, and then there's them loose slates on the boiler house roof at Woodcock's.
I have a heart, mate, not roofs. I mean, apart from my bad back, I've got no head for heights.
I thought you used to be a window cleaner.
I used to do it downstairs.
What do you do for upstairs? Use a long pole?
No, our Hilda.
Well, shove your Hilda up on Woodcock's roof then.
Look, it's out of the question, definitely.
Is it?
I said...
Talking about your Hilda.
What do you want doing after Woodcock's?
That's better, Stanley. Now, that new troffin out there, it's promised for Eastwood. You know, the paper shop? And after all that lot, when it should be dark. What a pity you're not on overtime.
You wouldn't have the brass to pay me, would you?
Oh, Stanley,
Now what?
I'm out of fags.
Eh? I won't ask for them back.
Oh, there's only 2 left.
Well, they're probably not his anyway. So what was she like then?
Who's that?
19 Incoming Street.
Oh, I never clapped eyes on her, just this voice down the passage calling him sweetheart.
It mind boggles. Some other woman in the world who fancies Stanley. You know, I thought Hilda had been built specially.
Must be all that hair on his chest.
Perhaps she's got hairs on her chest, you know.
Well, she did have a fairly deep voice.
Hey, you don't think he's got a fella?
Hey, come to think of it, there was a whiff of twist when he opened the door. Whiff of twist.
Oh, well, they say it's better than a dose of medicine.
What's that?
A good laugh. To give somebody else a chance.
Oh, no, we'll tell you when you're 21, love.
Ah, well, then I've got a bit to wait, haven't I?
Don't tell me, Albert, you've settled on imitation wood grain and then you can pretend you're living in a log cabin.
I think a log cabin would suit Albert.
Now, look, I'll have a little bit less cheek and some opinion.
It's a bedspread factory now. Of course, it was never known as the Empire, you know. Everybody called it the Bug Hut for obvious reasons. Oh, my Stan tells some very amusing tales about how him and his mates used to drop banana skins and that off the gallery into the stalls. Fancy being hit on the head with a banana skin in the middle of a Tom Mix picture, eh? Oh, by heck, you can bear a grudge, can't you?
Some grudges, Hilda.
I'll have a packet of them overnight peas.
Overnight peas?
Yeah, them what you have to steep overnight.
You mean hard peas?
Oh, hey, you want to be careful. You nearly smiled then.
I will. 10p, please.
Well, that's one thing about me. I'm schizophrenic.
Are you?
Yeah, hated 1 minute and looked on as a bit of a joke the next. Ta-ra.
You know, sometimes that Hilda Ogden reminds me of a pet ferret I had when I was a boy.
They're fairly vicious, aren't they?
Mm.
Then it's not a bad description.
I'd like a bar of plain chocolate, please, for energy.
5p, please.
Oh, thank you.
I saw you going into the warehouse about an hour back.
Yes, for what good it was worth.
Wouldn't you listen?
Oh, he listened all right, just wouldn't be influenced.
Oh, the rotten so-and-so.
Well, you can't really blame Mr. Pollard, not altogether. Just like everybody else, looking after number one.
I still think it's very wrong that Elsie should lose a job on account of something that she never did. Did you, tell Elsie you were going to see Pollard?
No. See. Hello.
Jar of caper sauce, please, love. Mr. Howard looked rather forbidding.
Yes, he's got good cause. Look, if you're passing later, would you drop in? There's just something I'd like to discuss with you.
Yes, of course. Bye.
Yeah.
Can I have 10 fags, please?
I Stan, it's a long time since you bought cigarettes. I thought you'd given them up.
Well, yeah, I thought you have some vacancies on the sales side, that's all. What? A cleaner? No, thanks. Not this week, anyway. Yeah. Bye. Well, what have you forgotten this time?
Nothing.
Oh, well, don't tell me they're giving you the sack.
Not as far as I know. Chocolate?
No, gets in your fillings. Well, what are you doing wandering about like a vicar in the middle of the afternoon?
I just went for a stroll. It's my tea break.
Do you want a cup of tea?
Yes, please. I've been to see Pollard.
Did what?
I went to see Pollard. I'm sorry, Elsie.
By gum, your wife getting a job means a flaming lot to you, doesn't it?
You know that's only the half of it.
I wish I could believe that. I told you, I begged you, and you slope off to see Pollard behind my back.
I didn't want to think that my wife...
Oh,
was a-
don't be so flaming mealy-mouthed on top of everything
Well,
else.
it's true, believe it or not.
Did he believe you?
Yes?
Didn't have to give me my job back, did he?
No.
Did he apologise?
No.
I was right about Pollard then, wasn't I? He is a jumped-up nobody.
Not only did he not apologize, he insulted me.
Insulted you? How?
He said as a bankrupt I should keep my mouth shut.
Oh, then I hope you shut it for him for a month.
No, I think I was too shocked.
Thought you'd lived it down, did you?
I certainly didn't expect you to come up there.
You are a little innocent abroad, really. I told you. There's an old saying round these places, like no smoke without fire, but there's another one about kicking a fella when he's down.
We're a right pair, aren't we?
Better what? Nits, twits, you're all fit.
All-time losers.
Oh, you are in a bad way. Is that why you came out for a walk?
Well, it was either that or kick a couple of door panels in.
Oh, I thought you'd come home to be comforted.
Well, I did come home. Well?
You got a mouthful of chocolate.
Well, I swallowed it.
Oh, sweet talker. Sweet kisser, too.
Perhaps I should have kissed Paula.
Why don't you go back and try?
Shouldn't you do something about that?
It can only blow us up.
I thought he was going to get us bog-eyed looking at wallpaper patterns again.
You know, it was when he started talking about covering the walls with Thailand cotton, I got a bit uneasy.
Perhaps we should have suggested pop art. 2 pints, please, Betty.
How did you get on?
Eh?
You know, 19 Inkerman Street.
Oh, as I expected to get on. Sweet as apple cider.
Stanley is so meek and humble, I'm thinking of buying him a church.
Now's your chance.
I'll do.
You glue that troffin on, did you, Stan? Of course, you've not had time for much else.
What about woodcock slates? Don't tell me
It's
you've
like
got
this
Hilda.
here.
I put my foot down.
Oh, you did you?
Met him in Victoria Street looking that worn out, folks was giving him money for food. So I said, enough's enough, Stan.
That was the very words.
You can be too hard-working, I said, too conscientious. You just down tools, Chuck, and come and recharge your batteries in the Rovers, I said.
I wish you were my wife, Hilda.
Ah, there's a lot wish that.
Of course, there's something you don't know, you see, Hilda.
£2.
I'll get those and the usual for me and Hilda, you know.
There you are, now look at that. Not only works his guts out for you, buys your booze and all.
Now, there's a thought.
Come suddenly to mind.
Pardon?
Hilda.
What, Chuck?
Belt up.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, there's no need for you to look like a frightened PN because I've decided to dispense with the book.
You've made your mind up then?
I didn't say that.
Well, what are you saying?
Well, I'd like to see the papers in the flesh, you know, in a roll like.
Mr. Tatlock, as I remember it, all this started because you said your living room were looking a bit tatty.
No, not me, young Susan.
And I said I'd do something about it.
You volunteered, in fact.
All right, volunteered. Now, as I saw it, what were involved were picking one bright, inexpensive paper and putting it on. But you've had me traipsing up and down, lugging heavy pattern boots, making up your mind and changing it, and generally driving me up the wall. Now, will you please pick one paper? Cheap, expensive, bright, dull. I just don't care anymore.
Oh, I see.
I'm glad you do.
Well, you know what you can do with your decorating and your pattern book, don't you?
What?
You can shove it up your jumper. Because it's obvious what's been at the back of your mind. Do the old chap a favour, you thought. He won't need much of a job doing, him being in his dotage. No, just slap any old thing on and he'll be that grateful he'll eat out of your hand. Well, in me dotage I might be, but I want the job doing proper. So I'll make sure and do it myself. And if I can't manage, I'll pay somebody to do it.
Having a bit of trouble, Chuck?
I was flipping right. There's some folk you can't help.
You know, I've never hidden my opinion of Elsie's lifestyle. Sloppy, I think the word is, but I've never doubted her honesty.
Me neither. And I'm just wondering if we should just let her shrug this off. For her own good, I mean.
Don't think I understand you, dear.
Well, if somebody should, well, tick up cudgels for her.
But I thought you told me Alan had tried.
Oh, well, he's only a mere fella, isn't he, Mrs. Walker?
I know, but still, you know, Elsie's rather a strange cause.
You know, that warehouse hasn't even opened yet. And already they're riding roughshod over us.
True, it's a precedent.
What do you say, then?
Is this why you wanted to see me? I'm not quite sure what you have in mind.
You and I have a word with Mr. Pollard. Put him in his place before he gets above himself.
I'm with you, Maggie. Aux armes, as I believe the French say.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.